Although nowadays most of us use vehicles for transportation reasons, when cars first became available to people, they would take pleasure drives as something new to do. As for this video, these car journeys were far from pleasurable. From roadblocks to witches, in this video we take a look at 5 roadside videos that'll give you chills. Number 5. This video was captured during the early hours of the night in New Jersey in 2014. At some point just past midnight, a man was traveling alone down a New Jersey highway. In the darkness, the man came to an obstruction in the road with traffic cones and a car pulled over. There was a silhouette of a man near the car. The driver stopped the car and a shady figure approached his window. The driver then went to ask, "Can I help you with something?" And the man replied yes, then reached into his pocket. Since the situation was already sketchy, the driver wasn't looking to see what the guy was about to pull out. He quickly drove away from the scene, and after getting away, the driver pulled over and phoned the police to report the incident. The police responded to the reports, however when they arrived, the scene and the roadblock were no longer there, but the men were. The police found the 2 men and learned the car had run out of gas. Troopers believed the 2 had tried an inappropriate and dangerous way to get help using the cones. It was never confirmed if it was the same 2 men who set up the roadblock, however, as they were found in the same place that it most likely was. There have been reports of these types of roadblocks being set up by criminals all around America to carry out robberies. There have also been reports of criminals impersonating officers to pull over drivers to go ahead and rob them as well. As for this video, the police concluded that it was simply a lapse in judgment rather than a robbery attempt. Number 4. This next video comes from the dash cam of a police officer, Wayne Daniels. The officer was involved in a high-speed chase taking place at 11:30 p.m. It took place in Garden City, Georgia, and the officer was on a regular nighttime patrol when he noticed a vehicle driving erratically. He attempted to pull the car over, but it continued driving and a high-speed chase began. The suspect was chased down the highway until it led off-road. Once the chase went off-road, the vehicle approached a chain-link fence and appears to magically pass through it without knocking it down or destroying it. It literally appeared to pass through it without causing any sort of damage. On the other side of the fence, the car's taillights can be seen. After witnessing this, the officer brings a stop to his car and the suspect got away. The Garden City Police Department went on to refer to this case as the Garden City Ghost Car. This was because there were no leads in the follow-up investigation and no one was ever apprehended. The footage became infamous and many TV shows have gone on to investigate the footage to try and figure out what happened. One of these TV shows was Fact or Faked, Paranormal Files. This is a paranormal investigation series which investigates photos and viral videos from the internet which contained alleged proof of paranormal activity. The first case investigated on the show was the Garden City Ghost Car. For the show, they attempted to recreate the incident. They looked to see if the car may have jumped over the fence or passed through it or gone underneath it. They concluded the fence was most likely not stable or pinned down to the ground. Therefore, when the front of the car hit the fence, it lifted up, allowing the car to pass through it. This seems like the most plausible answer. Others believe it was the case of a phantom or ghost car. A phantom vehicle is believed to be a ghostly or haunted vehicle, which are often described as operating with no visible driver. Number 3. This next video was made in 2008 and it was captured on the dash cam of 2 DeWitt County Sheriff's deputies in Texas. The police officers believe that they captured footage of a Chupacabra. The word Chupacabra literally means goat sucker, and it's the legendary creature in the folklore parts of America. The first reported sighting of a Chupacabra came from Puerto Rico. The name comes from a creature that's reported to attack and drink the blood of livestock, including goats. The description of the creature is that it's a small bear with rows of spines going from its neck to the base of its tail. Eyewitness reports of the Americas have been reported as far north as Maine and as far south as Chile. Although some of the people believe chupacabras are considered an urban legend, most sightings are believed to be animals suffering with mange. The police officers believe they actually caught the mystical beast on tape though. Officer Brandon Rydell was training a new deputy when they came across the unusual sight. The officer said, "We were out checking fence lines and we came around the corner and we saw this running down the road." The officer quickly turned on their dash cam, believing they'd experienced a chupacabra sighting. The officer said, "It doesn't look like your average coyote or dog or anything." The video shows a hairless creature moving alongside the road, and some believe it may simply be a coyote with mange. Number 2. This next video was made at 3 in the morning by a police officer in the American state of Arizona. On the 27th of June 2015, Officer Malik was on a nighttime patrol when he came across a bizarre encounter. While driving on a routine nighttime patrol, the officer traveled off-road when he came to a woman standing in the middle of the road. The female is standing in the middle of the dirt road at 3:40 a.m., and she had her arms crossed with her head down and a fire lit at her feet. The woman puts her hands out, extending them sideways, and she lifts her head up, but her face cannot be seen. It seems to be illuminated instead. After her face is exposed, the video soon comes to an end. Many people believe the woman was carrying out some sort of witchcraft. A witch is a female practitioner of witchcraft, with witchcraft being the practice of magical skills and abilities. Some of these skills and abilities include conjuring, necromancy, special learning, and much more. It's unknown as to how many witches claim to be in the Arizona area, but they did have their own witch trials in the 1970s. The Flowing Wells Witch Trial was a series of events that took place in Tucson, Arizona from 1969 to 1971. In late 1969, a person from the University of Arizona was invited to speak to students at the Flowing Wells High School in northern Tucson. The person was an expert on folklore and witchcraft, and they described the physical traits of a witch to the students. These included blonde hair, a widow's peak, green or blue eyes, and a pointed left ear. Students then noticed a teacher called Ann Stewart that matched the description. The students brought it to her attention, and she responded with, "What do you think?" After this, rumors spread around the school that the teacher was indeed a witch. Students began speculating that Stewart was a witch after she dressed as a witch for a presentation about folklore given at a local middle school. Stewart was suspended from her position on November 27, 1970. The reason for her suspension was teaching about witchcraft, having stated that she was a witch in a way that affects students psychologically. Reports of the suspension made international news, which prompted neighbors and former friends to avoid Stewart, and she also started receiving threatening letters, which read, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." Locals in the area began to look at her differently, and other school boards refused to hire her. In 1971, she went to court about being falsely accused as being a witch. A final hearing on the suspension was scheduled by the board on March 22, 1971. During the hearing, the board officially decided not to renew Stewart's contract for the upcoming school year. She never returned to work as a teacher, and she lost her job and her reputation. This is one of the most infamous cases of witchcraft in Arizona and in America. About 1.5 million Americans openly announced themselves as following the Wicca religion. As for the amount in Arizona, it's unknown. But as for the video, some believe the Arizona officer caught some type of witchcraft ceremony taking place, as it was captured during the witching hour of 3 a.m. Some claim toward the end of the video, the woman can be seen levitating slightly off the ground. Number 1. There have been conflicting reports of where this next video was filmed, and some outlets claim it was India while others claim Saudi Arabia. The people in the video are speaking Arabic, so it's most likely Saudi Arabia, but the original video post claimed that it was from Kuwait. The video is believed to have been filmed near the Saudi border. In the darkness of the night, two men were traveling down a dirt road, and to their surprise, they noticed what appears to be a woman chasing them. The woman is wearing a white gown with a hunchback while carrying some sort of cane or stick. She makes creepy and odd movements as she chases the men. Men can be heard screaming in terror, and when translated, it's found that one of them is telling the other to drive, while the other man is replying, telling him that the vehicle is stuck. By the end of the video, the woman begins to scream at them, and they respond in fear and quickly drive away. There have been many explanations as to what took place, and some believe the men came across an actual witch. In Saudi Arabia, the officials consider witches as a serious problem. In 2009, the government of Saudi Arabia launched an anti-witchcraft unit, which aims to educate the public about witchcraft and its spells, along with locating and putting a stop to active witches in the country. In Saudi Arabia, witchcraft is punishable by death. They take witchcraft very seriously as they believe the entities are known as jinn. In the Western world, jinn are seen as an aspect of Islamic mythology, and they're described as supernatural creatures in early pre-Islamic Arabian and later Islamic mythology. The jinn have been described as a smokeless fire, and in Middle Eastern countries, much unlike the Western world, they believe the jinn are real. They believe that they're interdimensional entities located in the subspace between the third and fourth dimension. It's believed black magicians are able to conjure the jinn and get them to work for them. In Islam, it's believed that people can pay black magicians to conjure jinns and then disrupt the lives of people by haunting them and causing mental anguish. The black magicians, whether male or female, are also believed to be able to become possessed by the jinn, needing an exorcism to remove it. This is the reason why Saudi Arabia takes witchcraft so seriously and started the anti-witchcraft unit. As for the video, it may have been a witch caught on tape. Shortly after the video was made public in 2014, there was a news story of an old woman being stopped at a border close to where the video was filmed, but she was stopped due to having witchcraft paraphernalia. However, there has been another simpler explanation, which says that the video was a prank pulled on a new recruit at the Saudi border. Whatever the case may be, the video is still terrifying. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. And if you loved it, maybe consider subscribing and clicking the notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But I've been Ty Knots, and I'll catch you in the next one.